It's the 9th of June 2022, and today was the the Uganda Heroes Day, and we want to congratulate all those who have been awarded with medals. Yeah, we congratulate you and we celebrate you as our heroes in Uganda. I welcome you to this program, Ask the CEO. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name, sitting in for Apollo Sabiti, who is unable to be with us today. And this program is brought to you by Church of Uganda Family TV in partnership with Young and Flourishing. We are delighted this evening to host an amazing lady, a superwoman, Mrs. Agaba Monica, who is she's the vice chairperson of UNATU in Kanungu district, but most importantly, she's the executive director of Zuri Opportunity Uganda. Now you must be asking yourself what Zuri Opportunity Uganda does and what it is. She's here to answer all these questions together with us. This is Ask the CEO. Mrs. Agaba, we are delighted to have you this evening.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful and blessed to be here.
Yeah, we are indeed, we can't take this for granted. Kanungu is very far. But having given us this time, this evening, we are delighted. And how is Mr. Agaba?
Mr. Agaba is well. Reverend Agaba.
Yeah, Reverend Agaba.
Yeah, he's very fine. And I think he's tuning in right
Sure.
now. Yeah.
So Reverend Agaba, we send you our regards as Church of Uganda Family TV. So we want to, first of all, understand what Zuri Opportunity Uganda is before we get into the details of today's topic.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Edwin. Zuri Opportunity Uganda is a community-based organization. It's a non-governmental organization, and it is based in Kanungu district, and specifically for now, Chembe community. Chembe is a large community of more than 20,000 people in population, and so Zuri Opportunity Uganda is a non-governmental organization, non-profitable, which has come up in the community to improve and in community transformation through education, health, and agriculture.
You know, when we told people that you're the vice chairman, chairperson of UNATU in Kanungu district, of course everyone now knows that you cannot be a vice chairperson of UNATU when you're not a teacher. We are proud of you as a passionate educationist. But we want to, first of all, tell us about Monica, before she's Mrs. Agaba, before she's vice chairperson, before she's executive director.
So thank you very much. Briefly, I'm Monica Agaba, and I'm born in a family of 8 children, 4 biological and 4 adopted by a rural woman who was a teacher by that time. And so I'm the firstborn of that large family. And so we grew up in a family like that, and unfortunately lost our father when I was at the age of 9, and our last born was 2 months.
The firstborn is at the age of 9.
The firstborn was at the age of 9.
And the father is gone.
And the father is gone. And the lastborn is 2 months. So I became the mother to our lastborn at that tender age, because we had to hustle. My mother had to hustle, look for money, go do agriculture. So I would be the one in charge to take care of those other children. By then we were 4, but then my mother single-handedly brought in other children who were also orphaned at a very young age.
So did she just feel pity for these children?
No, they were her brother's children, and the firstborn was 6.
6
while
years.
the lastborn was 2. So she brought them in, and so we got a large family at a young age, but God saw us through to where we are now. Yeah.
Wow. What about your education up to where you are? Was it that soft?
My education was not soft at all. Luckily, my mother was a teacher, primary school teacher at that time, and she's someone who had a passion for education, maybe because of the way she had gone through education her own self. Her father did not believe in education, and she's the only one in the whole family who went to a secondary school.
How did she?
She's someone who went to the secondary school with the help of her own mother, but her father wasn't part of it.
Okay.
So she was so passionate about education, and she wanted us, her children, to have a different life from what she had.
Okay.
But it was not simple for her, being a single hand, and definitely primary teachers were earning so poorly, but she had to struggle to take us through. So we got into a journey of education. We weren't optimistic enough. We would just be happy that the day has ended and we have come into the next day, and into the next day, into the next term.
With no much hope.
With no much hope
of tomorrow.
that next time we are going back to school, but we go. Next time we go. And by the time she died, all of us, even the other ones, had already qualified, some had degrees, others had diplomas. No one among those children did not manage to get an education. No one cannot sustain him or herself right now.
So she gave you the foundation.
Yes.
So did you have, was all your education life in Kanungu?
No, my mother, because of trying to cause a difference, she educated us from good schools, took us to Kawale, but that also became a hurdle where no school fees, nothing, but you'd still go to school. She made sure we studied in Kawale through the education journey, and so you can imagine a person from Chembe. Chembe is in Kanungu district, but at the border of Congo, going to study in Kawale. We would get the only vehicle was the pickup. You know the pickup, the one which has the behind, and they would put every type of bag, avocados, sugar canes, and then would sit on top with our legs crossed on the other side and the other side, and they would make sure they get ropes and they tie the legs so that we don't fall. Remember, we are on top of the sacks, and we would enter the vehicle at around 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
In the night? In
the night. So it means we would set off from our home, and they would escort me personally. They would escort me to the main road, which was 4 kilometers. So we would set off from home at midnight, walk with our luggage on top of our heads up to the main road, board a vehicle at 1.
The pickup?
A pickup at 1 and reach Kawale around 6.
6 a.m.
Yes. That was the education journey. For school fees, it is a mystery how she managed. Up to now, I'm mesmerized. That is why I try to dig out so much into I want to divide in there and know exactly which kind of tactics she used to get us to where we are today, because it is not explainable. She really struggled.
So was it that there were no schools in Kanungu that time, or the schools were not of standard?
The schools were there in Kanungu, and to the standard of my level, yes, they were, but probably because for her, some of the relatives were in Kawale, so she knew if they send us away from school, at least we have somewhere we can
stay.
Somewhere we can stay. But the schools were very few at that time. We had very few schools. Like in the whole of our community, there was no secondary school. And the secondary schools which were there were also in a distance of where we did not know anyone there. So that is why she opted for Kawale, where we had a few relatives. And then when I had been empowered and come back as a teacher, now my siblings, for them, they came to these schools because I was already there.
So they are sure we have someone, a contact person in the school.
Yeah, they would not be sent away for school fees and then trek all the way home, because there would be no transport money for you around that time.
Okay. Today, I want us to look at community transformation through prioritizing education. And we basically want to look at Kanungu as a district and the education life of Kanungu. That is why we are digging deeper into your education life, because it is going to give us an insight of what we're going to talk about, particularly when it comes to this topic. So let us start with the nature of the education. As you were studying, right from primary to secondary, was it really, because you told us that your mother, your grandfather had no interest in educating children.
Yeah.
So was it really easy for you as a girl child to confidently sit in class with the boys as you were studying?
Yes, personally, yes. But unfortunately, no, to very many of people like me. Because from primary, for example, we were 20 girls in one class, 20. But by the time we completed senior 4, we were 5. And those who completed senior 4, 5 of them, only 3 were able to make it to a diploma level. The rest, I meet them somewhere in the communities, and this was the plight of every other school in there, all the schools around. The education was not prioritized at all.
Only for the girl child, or even the boys?
Even the boys, most of them withdrew from school because some of them would start making money at a young age, go work for someone in his shamba, get 2,000, pocket it and feel, why do I need to go to school and yet I can afford this money already now? This
was evident, this scene during the lockdown, when very many students had turned into workers, and now that they had money, they had no interest in going back to school. I remember parents were struggling with children to take them back to school because they had now started earning some money, and so they had lost the value for education. And so, could it be the reason as to why these children were...
Kanungu district is on the border. And because it is on the border, there are a lot of trade activities. There is something we commonly call waraji. For us in our community, they have the matoke where they get the waraji from. And so very many parents look at education as a sabotage. Looked at education as a sabotage during our time. Now, things are changing, mostly because there are a few people like me who have come out to show a difference, to tell the parents, to sensitize the parents and the learners. But in our time, people would rather take their children to prune coffee and do other agriculture businesses, which were not income generating actually. Enough income generation activities, no.
So you said that people like you have gone back to the community. You're now an inspiration to those people. Maybe those days, these parents didn't have anyone to look up to. Whoever attains this education, they run to the city. They run to Kampala for greener pastures. They don't go back to the community. So these young ones don't have any inspiration.
So because, like we said, Kanungu was more of business enterprises than education. There are not many people who received education whom we can look up to. Most of them, even those who are rich, most of them did not go to school. And because of that, most of the children, our age mates, would also start the same businesses that their father were doing and ignore education. And just like one man told me, one wise man, that to transform a person, you have to look at education, salvation, and money. We need money, financial independence to become.
You're going to throw more light on that. It is education, salvation, and financial independence.
Money.
We break down one by one to see how the three come together. We are looking for the uniformity of the three.
For the uniformity. So because of that, the education was left behind. Very many people did not complete. They would be in school, but they wouldn't complete because of such factors. The parents are not so much pushing them, The parents are allowing them to do these other activities that could give them little money, and so they lost out in the education sector. So we had a generation of very many people who have not satisfied the education background. And those who did, those who were able, especially who were from well-to-do families or families which could afford to reach them somewhere, they would rush to Kampala for greener pastures. Because in the community, there was nothing much to lure them back. So most of them, even now as we speak, we have a variety of people here in Kampala from our home. But they only go for Christmas and etc.
They go for Christmas, and on Boxing Day they're already in Kampala. They have established their roots in Kampala.
Exactly.
So what do you think was really the biggest problem? Why do you think education wasn't given attention? Yet you've told us that the wise man said education, salvation, financial literacy are the key.
So when you take these three keys in this situation, there are people who thought they were now financially stable because they could afford a 10,000 in their pockets. Because they
in a day or two?
Not even in a day, in 3-4 days. If you could afford 2,000 in your pocket, then you would think. And besides, those who were already earning were earning less. Like I talked about the giant in my mother. Whatever she was earning was less than those who had coffee, plantations of coffee in the village. So now they would not see any reason why they should go to through this education of very long, very many years studying, to come back and earn the little money this teacher here is earning. And so most of them took shortcuts. And they were generally satisfying the financial independence.
Yes.
But where are they now?
Yet financial independence is the last.
Yet it is.
So they skip the first and two.
Last before the
first two.
Actually, the first, the first is education, but salvation is in the middle because it curves to the two.
If you have money without salvation, it is nothing.
Without salvation, money without salvation, you are a nobody. Salvation can come in different ways. Either, of course, there is the salvation, like you tell people you get saved.
Yeah.
But when you get saved, don't stop there. Go back in the community and transform it and make sure that even other people are getting saved because of you.
That is if you're proud of what you have.
Yes.
So if you're proud of the salvation, then you take it back to your friends because you want them to be what you are.
Now, once you achieve salvation and education, then you have things that have come to stay. You have built a very big foundation that is on the rock, that is not going to break.
Yeah.
But the financial independence, however big it can be, it will break down. You'll go back to zero.
So it is like the other man who builds their house on sand.
Their house on sand, another one built their house on
the
strong
rock.
Foundation. Yes. This one.
So when a strong wind comes, or when the rains come, they just wash it away.
Exactly. So very many people in our community were washed away. Lack of salvation, HIV set in. And you can walk in our community and you do not take 2 houses, 3 without finding a house where everyone died of HIV. And so that means now their children, even when they were in school, their hopes got lost. They did not reach where they should have reached because their parents are gone. Their parents were very rich, with a lot of money, financial independence, but salvation was nowhere to be seen, education was nowhere to be seen, and so
they are left in the space.
Lost their lives and left their families in space.
Wow, this is how we are asked the CEO, and we are looking at community transformation through prioritizing education, and we are basically looking at Kanungu. We are blessed this evening to have Mrs. Agaba Monica, who is the Vice Chairperson of UNATU, in Kanungu district, but also the executive director of Zuri Opportunity Uganda. And we are going deeper into the education history of Kanungu district up to where it is now. So you've talked about the parents and how they were and how education was neglected. So besides education, what else does being next to the border has to do with the transformation of the community in Kanungu?
In Kanungu, being next to the border, you know, there are many people who think being next to the border is positive,
yes,
more than negative. But I've realized
because you can freely cross in and out.
It is more benefiting the people outside Kanungu than the people inside Kanungu. You'd find a person like me, I've never crossed the border. Yes.
Didn't you want to go and dig into the finances that were the other side?
Now this one, to me, as a person who is so passionate on transforming the community,
yes,
I do not see a lot of benefits being near the border by this class of people that we are talking about. So it is up to us who are now well informed in our community to go back and help these other people on the lower class to achieve and gain from the advantages of being near the border. For example, trade, of course, the tourism. For example, Kanungu is the only area where we have the gorillas, where we have the climbing lions, where we can do anything. There is a lot of gold in Congo.
But then I also believe that without education, even these features might not be of importance to the community.
You would walk into the community of Chembe, where I'm born, and ask the people there who have ever seen a climbing lion, and there is none. Those who stay in the community near the border, none has seen it. And it is seen by those who are financially independent, who can afford to drive there, people who have money, people who have education, and the people who come from outside Kanungu.
Which is a disservice to the community.
Yes. So in order for this community to benefit, it now comes back to the more of us who are capable of achieving whatever we want to achieve positively, to come back and sensitize our community and help them also benefit or tap from their own God-given gifts.
So we want to also look at the leadership, in the community leadership, because we understand the government has come up with very many policies that are aimed at boosting education in communities. And of recent, they launched the Seed School policy. But there was also UPE, USE, and very many other policies. Was there no government intervention in all this?
Government has really tried. It is doing well. I thank so much the government. They are doing well, and the leadership in Kanungu has woken up. And there are very many schools mushrooming. There are the health facilities, agriculture. There are very many programs that have come up to help this person at the lower level. Yes.
So, but then you said there are very many schools that are coming up and all that. What do you think is still the problem? Why is education still looked at as a minor aspect in the community?
So they say, for example, I'm not going to be discriminating, but they say that when you educate a girl, you have educated the nation.
And that is it.
And when you educate a boy, you have educated an individual. It takes people in a community who have achieved a certain level of education to transform their own communities. Because policies from the government may come, the district leadership may take them up, but the implementation will start from the ground level.
At that very point, Mrs. Agaba, is where I want us to start from shortly after the commercial break. The reason as to why some services don't reach their destination is because of the implementation. And this is Ask the CEO, only on Church of Uganda Family TV in partnership with Flourishing Hub. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. Today sitting in for Apollo Sabiti. And we are with Mrs. Agaba Monica, who is the Executive Director of Zuri Opportunity Uganda. So Mrs. Agaba, we were talking about implementation. And we want now to get back to the ground. What do you think is the problem? We want to now basically pull off Kanungu district to Chihembe community, where you have much interest, where you've founded a lot of projects.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwin. But maybe let me not forget this. I'm a teacher.
Yes.
Of English language and literature in Chinchizi High School. It is one of the church-founded, government-aided schools in Kanungu district. And then I'm appropriator of Chembe Community Vocational Secondary School. Chembe Community Vocational Secondary School is a school that came out of efforts of everyone in the whole community.
What do you mean by efforts of everyone?
Chembe is a community of more than 20,000 people in population, and it is a parish. So meaning being a parish, it has the sub-county, it is under a sub-county called Kanyantorogo, but it constitutes half of that whole sub-county. And it is on the border, direct on the border with Congo, such that even many people fetch water in River Ishasha. That is where Congo. They fetch water. Before the government did us good by bringing the national water, it is near, services near people. People would fetch from Ishasha. Even now, if they fail to pay for that tap, they go to Ishasha. That is how near it is. Many people do their agriculture activities in Congo. So they
so you sleep in Uganda, you go and cultivate in Congo.
They go and cultivate in Congo. When it is time of the rains, some of them are taken, they drown in the river. Yes, we lose some people in that river during the season when the rains are very many. And so, taking us back in Chembe community. Yes. Chembe community, when I was growing up, it was a community large one, but without any secondary school. And the only secondary school nearby, Chi High School, Bulema Secondary School, they were in a range of 10 to 12 kilometers. And because the parents, like I said, those who were well-to-do, took those who considered education as a priority, a few of them took their children to those schools and in a boarding section. But there are very many who loved education, but they saw themselves as incapacitated. And so their children would trek for those 12 kilometers from home every morning to school, then back. So you find a child has walked almost 25 kilometers in a day, going back and forth. They are very tired, and so they lose morale in education. Most of them would drop out, not because they didn't love education, but because of
the
those
distance
kinds of circumstances.
And all that.
And so it was always my dream when I was growing up. Though I never trekked that distance, I would feel very wounded every time I saw children walking all those long distances to look for education. The child who does not even have a shoe, maybe no money to buy a shoe for him.
They trek barefooted.
But he's trekking barefooted to a secondary school.
10 kilometers.
It would hurt me a lot. And I would realize that the people in my community who should be aiding this, who should be prioritizing their own community to help these learners there, are minding their own business. And so it would really hurt me. And when my mother passed when she died, and she had left these other children who were still, 3 of them were sitting for primary 7. Those are not among the other 8.
Yes.
They are not. There are others that she received home.
She must have been a compassionate woman.
They were completing primary 7 too, then another one primary 6 when my mother died. And then I sat down and I was like, what can I do to change this? I must make sure that these children get an education in secondary. But I'm not going to afford them, and yet they are now in my hands. And so a thought came in me that really, if there was a secondary school in this community, it would address most of the problems of children looking for education in further distances. That was in 2017.
Of recent?
In 2015.
Oh, 15.
So I kept it as a dream at the back of my mind, but I'm someone who thinks if I dream, I go for it. I don't have to wait. So I sat down. I was incapacitated. I'm married in a family which is also like me. My husband is the firstborn, and he was holding all the responsibility of the firstborn. I was also holding all the responsibility of the firstborn, the other side. So I could not say, let me take a loan and start a school. So I sat down and asked God, what is it in me that I can use to help me achieve this dream that I'm thinking about? So that is how I started. I went into my community. There was a guy, a certain man, a certain young man, who was also involved in community outreaches in agriculture especially. I told him about what I was thinking about of a secondary school. And what was the force behind? The force behind was there was a big piece of land in front of my home. It was a government land lying idle for very many years. People would just dig and nothing was done from there. And I had heard that in the council at the sub-county, they wanted to put a market, a trade market there. In my mind, I was like, what is a market going to benefit my community more than education? So I talked to Herbert. He was called Herbert. He was also someone who was passionate about transforming the community. And he had some friends, some white friends who had visited him. And they are the ones who would help him with small money of education. There was this guy called Ross Young and some other friends. And so I went and talked to Herbert. I said, Herbert, you have some friends here. Suppose we think about starting a secondary school. Don't you think they could really appreciate the idea and support? Then he went and talked to them. They called me one day. We had a meeting and they said I write a proposal. I wrote a proposal and they embraced the proposal. They looked at it and they were very happy of a secondary school. And then we sat down, we were like, they said they could help something that is community involved if we involve the community. And definitely now we had to lay strategic plans. We knew there are very many people in our community who are staying, who are well-to-do, staying here in Kampala, who have kept their ears closed to whatever is happening in their community.
They are comfortable in their chairs in Kampala.
We must penetrate these people and make sure they come back to give back services to their own community. That is how we joined an organization called the Chembe Development Organization. They had their own organization here. We came.
So they even have an organization in Kampala.
Yes. It is like a Wataka group. It is like these self-help groups.
Yes.
We came and became members, but we hadn't told them our
intention.
Our intention. We became members, and then when they were discussing, we brought the idea. You people, why don't you go back to your community and start a school? They bought the idea seriously, and then we went to the district and the sub-county. We told them there is land idle. Our people in Chembe are ready to start a secondary school as a community school. This is your responsibility as the government For us, give us land, we go and plan. But we need also your help. They bought the idea, we wrote, and they gave us the land. It is about 10 acres.
Yes, it's some big land.
It's big land. So they officially gave us land to go and do community work. Now we had land. We had the other group in Kampala who could help in a thing or two. Now the sub-county also came in and mobilized the whole community. Even up to now, when I think about how we started, I really embrace, I say, God, thank you very much. Because they would come like a Wednesday and do foundation. The whole community, young, old, women, men, they would be having hoes. They would dig the foundation. They were so happy. We sensitized them. We told them about the importance. And mind you, we have 8 primary schools in that one community.
8 primary schools?
8 primary schools, which would feed the secondary school. But there was no secondary.
So it is the only secondary school in the community?
Yes. But we started communally. We started communally. Community people, all of them paid money. Each family would pay 10,000. Each family is the cooking stone. So if your parents, if you're staying with your parents, but you have a wife, you would be a family on your own. Your parents would be a family on their own.
So that is 20,000.
That is 20,000. So they constructed the first block of 2 classrooms and a sitting and
a staff room
and an office space. And then when they were like somewhere, that is when now our proposal, the other side, went through, and that Ross Young mobilized the people in UK, and they started supporting us. Small, they would send 15 million, 10 million, and then through even these people in Kampala were mobilizing, and they made sure that each member would pay a certain amount of money. And we started like that. As we talk now, we have 4 classrooms. We have a science lab, well furnished. We have constructed a library, and nothing much through the community. I always see the budget. People are saying, we are going to renovate the building is complete, they are only renovating, and they are talking about 100 million. I'm like, oh my God. Here in Chende, we can use 20 million to construct a full block and very strong founded.
So Monica, with the presence of this school in the community, we now want to see how this transformation is progressing. Do you see, as you who spearheaded this campaign and appropriator of this school, because it was all your idea, it is you who held it, you birthed it, and now people are living your dream and your vision. Do you see any change, any transformation caused by this school? There
is very big impact already caused, because one was to make sure that no child stays in the village without an education because of failure to satisfy the requirements from the other schools. So however you are, they receive you. It is a community school. Then there is also this unity in the community. It brought back our people who are in Kampala, who are sleeping here. Now they go to the village, they have several yearly meetings. They talk about community transformation also. Like they dressed it up. It is their project now. Chende Development Community, the organization, they now go back to their own community. And then another achievement is about employment. Our children who were especially joining the education sector, most of them were lacking jobs. And as I speak now, we have almost 70% employed who are born in Chembe, and they stay in Chembe. That means the services are nearer. They bring everything back to their community. They tender to their agriculture, if someone has a coffee plantation, he tends to eat rather than going to work far where he will leave it there for it to suffer. And then we sensitize the community members on the usefulness of education. Now we have a level, we have how to penetrate now the community to teach them, look here, it can work. See, we now have a school. So community transformation.
And they also look back to these people who are employed.
Exactly.
And they realize that their life is really transformed.
Now it has empowered very many children out there who had lost hope of an education. They are coming up because they see so-and-so's son is a teacher here. And at first they were like, can so-and-so's son teach my son? And then that son performs. But the first outlet, senior 4, those who have done exams, we got a first grade.
Wow. Congratulations.
Someone who has studied all primary from Chembe, secondary at that school. It is a day school, remember. They go home.
And come back the following day.
And they go
no
home.
Night preps, no winter, no everything.
Preps, nothing. And with this lockdown, remember, for 2 years, now people whose education background is low, with these 2 years of corona, where in Kampala, according to the digital world, people were studying on internet.
Sure.
For us, you cannot say anything about a smartphone in the community. But somehow we have tried to sensitize them however we can. We cannot achieve everything at once. Then community participation in poverty eradication. Because we see poverty is the major problem why it is getting backward. So through agriculture, we teach them better agriculture methods. On our team, Uzuri Opportunity Uganda, we have an agriculture officer, purposely for that. And then self-help projects. We even teach our students about the self-help projects. We say, go back to, we even teach parents. As a parent, give your son a small piece of land where he can plant coffee and have it as his own coffee, tender to eat. And it has helped them. Instead of going to look for alcohol after school, they run into their own projects.
And Simago Walaji into Congo.
Exactly, and Simago Walaji that the parent has prepared. They now have their own self-help projects that they can do in supervision of their parents. And then the health facilities, like we support Zuri Project Uganda, we are supporting the health facility also, so that even when these children in school are here, now if they want health services, they don't go far. For both communicable and non-communicable diseases, you find it is very simple. And then in the school also, through the Diocese of Chinchizi, we got fruits. And so we have changed now our school into a model school where they have a plantation of fruits. And then in the compound also, we are campaigning for Go Green in secondary schools. Going green, because green is health, green is oxygen, green is everything. We want the whole school to be decorated with mangoes, passion fruits. It is trees that are edible. And it looks very beautiful how they have planted them. And very soon we shall be a model school. Other school will come deep in the village.
And one of these
to learn about this.
One of these days to come, I should visit.
Yes,
I should. Because I'm already excited.
They tender to them, and what we did when they gave us these fruits through the household and community transformation, and that is headed by my husband, but it wasn't about corruption. Everyone was free to come and pick whichever fruits they needed, be it institutions. So they went and planted, but whichever trees I am the one who took them. I got a vehicle by my own means, I fueled it, then we took the fruits to the school, and through the help of the teachers, they formed a club to take care of those fruits. And so they gave each student four mangoes, 4 oranges to plant in their own home. Take care of them, and we were to follow it up had it not been for the last COVID, but we are going to do that. To follow it up, go in every home to see the trees you planted. How are they? Where are they? And because of that, they have now tended to the school plantation, and it looks very lovely.
Okay. So as we wind up, what are some of the challenges you still look back and say, this one has stayed, has consistently remained, even when we have tried our best to transform our community? And what do you think is the way forward? Like
I said, fast forward. It would hurt me to find that we completed when we were 20 girls, but I wire around and see only like 2 who are somewhere, including me, the third. I'm not saying I'm where I need to be, but at least I can say. So even up to today, I realize that those who come in senior 1, by the time they complete senior 4, even when now there is a school nearby, some of them have already dropped. They have dropped out of school. They have gotten married at a very early age. Early pregnancies are still there. Then the gender-based violence. Remember, if people are blowing alcohol, that means they are taking it. And because of that, there is a lot of gender-based violence. And this time it is not to the women only. Even some few men are facing the same. The boys and girls don't know their roles. So you find a girl stays home to cook for people who are in the plantation, but the boy has gone to school. Or the boy stays home when it is the harvesting season for coffee, the girl goes to school. So there are still those challenges that the education sector. The good thing is we are in touch with the district implementation team. There's the guidance and counseling, there's the gender office, there's the DEO's office. We are in touch. And so when we get such cases, we forward to them and they try to find a way of addressing them. But those problems are still there. But the good thing is, like how Jesus left the 99 and went to look for 1 sheep, at least with this, we see a lot of achievement. For us, we have already achieved. As long as there are those who have come out.
No matter what still stays. Wow, this is so interesting. And one last word to the community in Gihembe. Just a message of hope.
Okay. My people are in Chembe community, actually in Kanungu at large. And even other communities outside Kanungu, as long as you're in Uganda, who could be facing the same. I'm encouraging you to come out. 1 person is enough to change a certain situation. 1 person is enough to dream, and the dream comes true to help very many people without you wanting to benefit financially. 1 person is enough. Take that step. Do something. If you think about something, go for it, and God will help you to learn how to go about it and transform your own community.
Wow, I'm glad, and as a team, we are glad we hosted you today. It is a timely visit, especially as we celebrate the Heroes Day. You are indeed a hero. You're Chihembe's hero, and we are proud of you. When you go back, send our regards to Reverend Agaba. We love him so much. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for watching Ask the CEO, only on Church of Uganda Family TV, in partnership with Young and Flourishing. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. God bless you and have yourselves a good night.